Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my workbench. Dan here as always, and in today's video we're going to be doing an update. Being that we're already at the end of September, again the year is just flying by, I wanted to go ahead and get you guys updated here. I've been super busy lately, and that's actually one of the reasons why I'm going to be kind of filming this sort of my old way here, because I kind of need to get everything out there and get a video up before the month is actually over. I want to give you guys the material and get you guys updated on everything, but I'm also at the point where I have a lot of projects finished. I need to start putting stuff away, so I'm going to put this video kind of together here in the spur of the moment, but we've gotten a lot of stuff done this month. And I've been doing a lot of different cars and a caboose lately because I've been working on some different videos. And real quick, what I'm going to show you guys is kind of my archive of things that I'm working on. This is my movie maker currently, and these are all the different projects I'm currently in the process of editing together, doing voiceovers for, and finishing up. A couple of these are already finished and ready to upload, and I won't say too much more about them, but I have a lot of exciting projects in the pipeline, and I've been doing a lot of filming on some other cars that are going to be coming up in the pipeline. So like I said, we got a little bit of everything. We did do the Bulkhead flat car video. That one came out perfect. I've been getting great reviews on that. You guys have been giving me a lot of good feedback on that. So if I get another Bulkhead flat car prototype at some point in time, I might consider doing another one, because I do have some other load ideas and different things like that. I feel like there's a little bit we can still touch on, because flat cars in particular are really interesting. There's a lot of things you can do to them. You can weather them light, you can weather them heavy, you can do different loads, different ways of tying down the loads, you can have deck wear and modeled in all kinds of ways. So we've really only scratched the surface on these flat cars. So I do have some other ideas for flat cars down the road. We'll see what we get to there. But like I said, I just wanted to kind of show you guys that and get you guys up to date on what I'm actually in the process of filming of. So like I said, we did get to see a little bit of this, but I'm not going to talk about a lot of this in too much detail yet, because I do want to keep some of these cars as surprises until the videos come out. So I'm going to reserve those cars until the videos are uploaded before I show them, because like I said, I don't want any spoilers. But you guys are going to be in for a lot of different videos, a lot of cool prototypes, and you guys are going to be able to learn about all kinds of really cool stuff here. So alright, talking about projects now. I've been trying to tackle a lot of different stuff and a lot of different cars. I've been sorting through a lot of stuff, and I've sold off probably about 30 more models that I decided I just didn't need. And there was a lot of primed for grime stuff, a lot of tank cars, gondolas, boxcars, hoppers. I just got to a point where I'm like, I'm in the process of buying so much new stuff because the manufacturers are just coming out with so much. And there's my latest pile of stuff there. You can see I just got an exact rail car to do a video on. I got a Sioux-line hopper. I got a rare Gunderson. That was a complete surprise. I got that for 15 bucks. I just got the new modern hoppers there from Scale Trains. I got AC 4400s. I picked these up at a train show. I got a bunch of stuff at a train show for under 300 bucks that is going to come in real handy. Got some rare cars too, like I said, like this guy, this guy. These cool hoppers here are really hard to find, these patch outs. So I scored these dirt cheap at a train show recently. Super happy on these, because I do want a couple leased hoppers to throw into my trains, because anymore the coal hoppers that you see assigned to these unit trains, they're slowly getting rotated out, and you see a lot of these leased cars taking over these unit trains. So I wanted to at least have quite a few. And speaking of these leased coal hoppers, that's actually where I'm going to start this video at, by pulling these guys out. Now these aren't 100% finished. They're weathered to look nice, and that's about it. I'm not trying to go in, you know, a super amount of detail with some of these cars, because I just simply can't. They're weathered to fit into the train and be ready to go. So they have the minimum in terms of weathering, but both of these are Atlas Trainman series CEFX patch out guns. They all had the safety stripe patchwork already done for me. I just had to add this actual safety tape. Grimed up the sides, grimed up the underbodies. You can see they got all the scraping and everything that you see commonly in these cars. A little bit of graffiti, a little bit of coal streak, dust, black dust, and everything like that. The coal load bases are in these cars, however, I probably will change these out. Ideally, I would like to find somebody who could make me a bunch of these loads to fit inside these cars and then get them all fit in, because loads are the real time killer. I can weather these cars. I can do 3 or 4 of these in a day, no problem. It's the loads that take the time, because you have to cast them and then glue the loads down, wait for them to set in place, and it's just very time consuming. So I'm thinking at this point, once I get my train actually rolling, I want to just get all the cars done without loads, and then find somebody who can actually do the loads for me. and then just set the money aside. So it's something I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm in no hurry to do these. Like I said, this is going to probably be a project that I'm going to be working on for a couple years to come, because I have a lot of coal hoppers in storage. They're all pretty much EDGX, the rare Walthers ones. But anyways, I've been working slowly on the leased ones, getting some of the more interesting cars out of the way first. So these all have light weathering, like I said, fitted with the KDs. All these cars are going to be fit with these KDs. Because I like them. They look like the rotary couplers that you see on these cars, so I wanted to keep these on them for every one of my coal hoppers. And it also helps because all the Walthers cars are already fitted with these too. You can see I did model the kick-up, but there's no splatter or anything like that. It's just spray-on kick-up or powder work so that it looks like what's there is supposed to be there. Same thing with like the coal dust. You got a little bit of scraping and things like that on the top cords, but these are very minimalistically done so that they look nice in a unit train and they fill in the, or rather do the job for me, but they're not super detailed. Some cars, when I get to them, I will detail up a little bit more in terms of weathering, some of the really nice ones, but like cars like these, I'm just weathering them and then throwing them into the train as I go. So I got those two done, and I still got to weather these two. I'm hoping later this fall I'll get those finished up and put away. So I'll get these out of the way. I've been working on some plain gray cars I'm going to pull out now. And I recently got some of the new Prairie Shadows cars, but we'll talk about this one in just a second. I'm working on plain grays, like I said, and this one here is a really interesting prototype. It's an NAHX car. Stock lettering, stock number. All I did here was I removed the big FMC logo, and then I actually scraped the paint up on the sides, as you can see, using sandpaper, an X-Acto blade, chisel blade, all kinds of different techniques to kind of scrape the sides up and pit the sides up a little bit. I thought that was really interesting. Didn't really add anything else to this other than the new safety striping. I did have to modify the top hatch. That's a brand new piece, which I scratch built from styrene. This has a smooth hatch, more commonly. A lot of these cars have smooth hatches now. It's pretty seldom that you find one that still has like the old metal ribbed hatch. So like I said, I just fabricated that from styrene. Light washes on the side, light washes on the top. The underbody's a little bit more grimy, lots of powder and oil work, got the kick up, the trucks are nicely weathered, and then the couplers, of course. And then it's pretty much the same on the opposite side. No graffiti, it's just, like I said, a nice, clean, plain gray car with a little bit of detail work to make it look cool. And this is pretty much a general purpose car, so this can fit into any purpose that I need it to at any given moment in time. It does have the nice kick-up spray on the ends, all that nice splatters modeled there, and you got the safety striping on the ends as well. But otherwise, it's pretty much a bone stock Athearn that I just removed some of the lettering on and then weathered. So that's a really nice car. This next one here is the first Prairie Shadows car that I've actually completed. And I have two of these that I need to do, and this is the first one. This is a CEFX repaint, relatively fresh repaint, so it's not super dirty. These are grain cars as far as I know. The Prairie Shadows cars are super nice, and I did think about doing a review on these, but I ended up deciding not to at the last minute because I just wanted to get this project done, because at the time I was already filming like 3 or 4 other projects, so I decided not to throw another one in the mix there. So anyways, I just, like I said, weathered this with light washes, mostly oil work, lots of grime and dust and things like that in the underbody, the splatter. Truck weathering, of course. The sides have that nice side scraping. Lots of buildup on the ribs, lots of grime running down the top there, off the roof, around the hatch, lots of grime on the walkway. And I did add the safety striping. You got a little bit of grime built up on the ends, but there's not really any kick up. I just used Smokebox Graphics decals to do the repatch areas. But other than that, nicely detailed car out of the box. Like I said, all I had to do was pretty much just weather it, add my new decals to it, and she was good to go. So these are my two plain grays that I just got done. Nice, simple, clean cars that I can put into any kind of train for any kind of use. I like these kinds of cars, and I have more that I want to do. The next Prairie Shadows car I'm going to do is going to be a Warwick Railway car. It's going to be a WRWK reporting mark. So that'll be something that I'm going to get to in a little bit. Now, this next car is a Bulkhead flat car. It's actually an exact rail, my only exact rail, the Trenton Works version. This car I was kind of doing as a practice car for potential videos in the future using this style model, because these are interesting because these actually have the real wood deck, and with the Bulkhead ends you can do a lot more detailing in terms of like damaged wood and things like that. So let's talk about that real quick. These bulkheads are wood, like I said, laser cut, and all I did here was I modified it by beating the wood up with a knife and a screwdriver, sanded it a little bit, shredded it a little bit, stained it, weathered it, And then I modeled some of the damaged boards, because you see a lot of these boards get damaged from impact during loading or load shifting. I've seen loads where they've completely shifted over because they were improperly tied down, and they actually fly into the bulkhead and damage it. I've seen bulkheads that have actually been severely damaged, where the car has to pretty much be set aside and sent to a repair shop immediately because they're not able to actually legally run. I think they have to be tagged and then carefully moved. So these can get pretty crazy, like I said, but I just did some basic wood weathering techniques here. Probably could have gotten a little bit more detail on the deck, but I do like how the deck turned out. This is a lot of acrylic work, building this up with oils, stains, weathering parts, sanding parts, re-weathering parts, adding new colors here and there, and then layering lots of powders, dull coating and sealing it in place, sanding more off, and then painting more areas to just get this really random weathered area. And it turned out pretty good. Sorry about that, guys. My dog was going crazy. Anyways, there's the opposite bulkhead here. It's a little bit more damaged, a couple more boards missing, but definitely fun to do. You can see you got a lot of pitting on the bulkhead, lots of damage, scraping, weathering. This one has the older TTX logo, so I faded that down. Did a lot of rust spot work, rust streaking, all the grime on the underbody, the weathered TTPX, and the number. Lots of damage to the bulkhead again, lots of scraping. There's the end bulkhead there. And then the opposite side. So yeah, there's a lot here to digest, and like I said, it was a good practice car. I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep any of these for my fleet because, to be honest, these Exactrail cars are super lightweight. They don't track very well. So I would like to figure out how to actually add more weight to these without adding a load. I've thought about maybe cutting open this beam and putting in like fishing lure weights, maybe. I don't know if that'd work. I'm sure some people have found some ways of making it work, but being that this is a bulkhead, it's a little hard to hide the weight and conceal it, but I'm sure there's some ways. Anyways, this side has, again, the really cool weathering, lots of rust streaking and everything like that. Came out super awesome. I love the way the bulkheads turned out. So this is a really nice idler car I can put, again, into any manifest that I want and position any way I want, and it looks really cool because this is generally how you see these cars. They usually either have a load or they're running light like this, and this one just turned out phenomenal. So I definitely will consider maybe getting another one of these and then doing a video on it because, like I said, I do want to do some more bulkheads. I really liked doing the one. It's pretty tedious. It was a little more time consuming because I had to film each process, but this is good practice for me, figuring out what I can film, what I can speed through, what I can take pictures of, for example. So these are good learning cars for me. Anyways, that's the bulkhead. I'll set this aside. I'm going to start running out of room here pretty quick, actually. I will show you guys this because this was from my latest weathering video. You guys got to see this one, so I won't rehash too much here, but I just took this UTLX LPG car. I did some really cool patching, new decals, lots of really cool underbody weathering. You got the rain streaks with the grime and everything built up on the underbody. All kinds of really cool pitting, scratching, gouging, and average rust you see on these kinds of cars. This was a fun one to film here, and that's why I just wanted to show this in this video real quick. The dull coat came out a little weird. You could see it did flash a little bit, and it's because I'm using the really crappy new dull coat. It's not at all like the original formula, so at some point in time when I run out of this supply, you know, because I spent probably about $100 worth of dull coat, I probably better use that up. But if it comes to doing more tank cars in the future, I'm probably going to just switch to Tamiya flat clears at this point because the testers are not what they used to be. And this model did get soured to an extent with this finish. You can see it's very bubbly looking, and this is kind of the Achilles heel of this car, but I really still love it. It still looks really good, and it was fun to film. I like the graffiti, I like the patchwork. I just am disappointed with the way the finish itself came out, the final clear coat. And it's what it is, but yeah, don't buy the new Testors dull coat, guys. It's complete garbage. If you can find old cans, those are fine, but the new ones are just don't even bother. The gloss coat is fine. It's the dull coat that, like I said, I don't know what it is, what they did with the formula, but it is crap. And it will ruin a good model in a heartbeat, and you're going to be crying. So, you've been warned. Anyways, these next two LPG cars are ones that I've had in storage, and I actually weathered these at the same time I was doing the blue one. But these are the more common black units. Like I said, these are from a couple of runs back of the Athearn Genesis cars. These are the ones I really wanted to see with the bright UTLX lettering. I just pretty much weathered these with acrylics, oils. I did a lot of the grime work, some of the rain streaking on the underbody with mostly powder work. You got the stencil modifications, commonly seen on these older LPG cars, where they get stenciled when they're out of service. They take the stencils off, peel them up, spray them over, or put these vinyl stickers over them, and then they re-stencil the data here and there. So it's kind of an interesting thing that you see a lot of times on these cars. A lot of them get some interesting patchwork. You can see the safety striping was removed on the underbody, and then new striping was placed over it. I thought that was cool. You got a lot of rust coming down from the top, around the hatchware area there, and then you got all the kick up on the ends with the mud splatter, for example. Again, this side has some really neat patching, where they redid the number and the data. Some patch repairs, new stenciling there again, I like to model. That's a key detail to model on these LPG cars, if you want to make yours look a lot more authentic. You got all the grime and all the typical dirt, mud splatter and everything like that on the wheels and trucks. So that all looks really good. And then this next one here, again, has some really cool patchwork, it's really cool rust. All the rain streaking, it's got some interesting wear marks there. And then it's got some really cool stencil repairs, basically remodified, where they added new data and things like that. Lots of rust coming down from that top hatch again. All the underbody splatter, kick up, and everything like that. The wheels are nicely weathered, like I said. All the nice underbody kick up works up on the ends, on the couplers, on the walkway there. All that nice mud splatter. Very important to get all those little elements in these cars, because that's very visible on a tank car like this, especially a solid black car like this UTX is. A little bit of mud worked up the side there. I think that looks awesome. Absolutely awesome. Again, you got the really interesting patch repairs just randomly here and there. I just did that with some masking tape techniques and things like that. Certain areas I re-decaled with some trim film. Added new smokebox graphics data, for example. But these both came out really awesome. This is a brand new pair of UTLX cars ready to go into service on the layout, hauling LP gas. So that's those two. I'm not going to show anything else out of this drawer because most of this is still surprise models, so we'll wait to show those. The next thing I'm going to show you guys is this really cool 6400 Gon. This is the last OVR car that I finished. And I really need to get some more, because this one is like the pinnacle of like perfection in terms of the weathering techniques. After I practiced a little bit getting used to how these things weather, this was like the prime example of how these cars should be weathered. This is another SIG X car with the custom number. These are custom done decals. I just custom painted these cars, added my own data, and then did all of the heavy side scraping and damage to the top cord. Lots of rust techniques using a stiff bristle brush to do the scraping, and then a fine tip brush to do all the individual little streaks and scrapes and things like that. You got all the graffiti painted on the side. Drug skill, that's a common one you see on these 6400 guns. Lots of splatter, mud, dirt, grime, kick up. All that is just splattered over the sides, garbage juice, all that good stuff. Done with various techniques, but it just looks absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to get some more of these cars and weather them just like this one, and then at that point I'll be done with the OVR cars and I'll be ready for the Athearns, because the Athearns are going to be the proper older 6400 car, because I'm trying to model older ones at this point. And the older ones have the shortened reinforcing plate on the ends, and then they have different side ladders. So that's something with the OVR cars, because these are all the late production 6400s, so I have to chop that plate off, modify all this, and then modify the side step. So it's a little bit of an extra step, but you can do it. You just got to be careful sawing through that metal, because you'll go right into that rib real easy. So I definitely need more of this style of car, but I'm willing to keep working with the OVR cars, because after I've done a few now, it's pretty easy to master. But again, yeah, there's all that nice rust. It just looks phenomenal. And then it has the custom C&D load, and that's all real C&D. It's just finely ground up, and then I mix it together with some styrene and wood scrap and things like that from my scrap pile. So you can see it gets this nice collection. It's just glued down to a foam base, installed permanently inside the car. On the opposite side here, this has some really unique graffiti, which I copied from prototype photos. and you can see it's all the RB, Bobby, graffiti, some various other artists, lots of little scribbles and things like that, old graffiti, new graffiti mixed together. It's all starting to weather together, as you can see, but this is several hours of detail work here to do this. Hand painting all of this, blending everything together, lots of custom acrylic colors mixed together. Got all the old RB Bobby graffiti there. Safety striping was placed over that, and then you can see again you got all the side damage, all the scraping, pitting. Mostly on the area around the top cord, that's going to be with the most metal fatigue there. And so unfortunately the way they did the reporting marks on these cars, they're right in that critical area where these get pretty damaged, so the reporting marks get chewed up pretty quick. Some of these barely have even a reporting mark patch left. So you can see there's a lot that goes into these, but I've done a couple at this point where I've gotten these down to a science, being able to model them, so I can crank these out pretty quickly. Matter of fact, in about a week, which isn't bad. So like I said, I'm going to do 2 more of these hopefully. The other thing I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start adding modified KD shelf couplers to these. I just take off the top shelf and then leave the bottom shelf, because these all have the lower shelf coupler on them. So I'm going to start modifying KDs for these cars, because the OVR couplers are just a standard knuckle coupler. But anyways, that's the 6400. So that one's going to be going out to the layout. Like I said, I'm really happy with that one. It just came out phenomenal. It's a beautiful car. Now, looking at projects coming down the road here, I got a couple that I'm working on. I just started this A-Box. I was actually in the process of getting ready to sell this one, and then I have this one here that I was going to sell. I have a number of these in the basement from the original run, but I'm not going to weather those because I'm going to put those on display with a collection of other cars that I have. But I was thinking about selling these because Scale Trains just announced the next run of these in the Exact Rail line. Not the Platinum line, but the lower level Exact Rail line. I don't remember what it's called, but it's under Scale Trains now since Scale Trains owns them. They're going to do some really cool patch out, prime for grime version cars, and I thought about selling these Atherns, but I looked at them again and was like, you know what, the artwork is workable, I can still weather these and make them look nice, so I might as well keep them. And the more rail boxes the better, because you do see a lot of these in my area. They're all over the place still, even though a lot of these are starting to get retired. But this one's a unique one because it has the really cool A-Box stenciling there, so I'm actually going to just keep this one. It also is the first prime for grime car I've seen where it has different artwork both sides, which is nice, so it's worth keeping. So I just started weathering this one. You can see I already prepped the roof with the nice earth brown acrylic. I'm going to then do the sealant around all the panels. Then I can start doing the washes, the graffiti, and things like that on the sides, but I'm going to try to preserve as much of this patching as possible. One side will just be like this, and then one side will have graffiti. That's my plan. So probably like this side, for example. This side will probably have graffiti, and then the opposite side will be clean like this, kind of to showcase the patching, because I like having these kinds of cars and showing off some of that patchwork. But this is going to be the next one I'm going to work on, and then I'll get this done, and then I'm going to work on this one, hopefully. But I got a couple different cars I got to do. And then I'm going to pull this one down as a very quick sneak peek here, because I think this is worth showing. This is going to be my next hopper. It's in the process of getting done. This is a Rio Grande 4750, the first MWCX, and I did not film this one like I planned, but the next one that I'm going to do is even more complex than this, and I will be filming, but I need to finish up filming a couple more of the projects that I'm working on, because I got a lot of little sneak peeks that I got to show you guys. But in time I'll start trying to upload these. Kind of towards the end of the year we'll really wrap up, and then I'll have some more projects ready to film for next year too. So we're going to have a lot of stuff. But yeah, I decided not to film this one. I just decided to get it done because I wanted a nice salt car that I could throw into service here. Start replacing some of the cars that I sold off, because I have sold off a lot of my older 4750s to make way for better cars. This is a Prairie Shadows custom run from Intermountain. So it's an Intermountain 4750. And like I said, I just patched this one for MWCX, and it's in the tail end of getting finished here. There's a little bit more work I got to do to the sides to wrap things up. I got to weather the reporting marks a little bit because the decals are still fresh. But this is one that you guys can keep an eye out for, and hopefully it'll be done pretty soon. And we'll go out to the layout really quick to wrap things up. Now for the layout, I've been doing a little bit more track testing out here, so you can see I've got a trash train put together that I've been running with my HLCX pair. And I'm in the process of filming all this out here as I get work done. You can see all the track work's pretty much finished. I got everything leveled off. I got a new section put in place. I'm starting to install some new cross ties where needed, and I just got the crossover relocated and rewired, so this is all positioned and put in place. Finally done. I don't need to touch this crossover anymore. So we're ready to start installing ties and then painting all this track work here, and then we can actually start ballasting this next section. So this is going to be where my next layout series is going to start. We're going to start doing this, so we're going to start painting the track, and then we'll be able to actually extend this alley out. We'll be able to finish the grass, lay in some more tie clumps and piles and things like that. So we'll be able to finish all that up, like I said, and then we'll pretty much wrap all that up, get all this done, and then we'll be able to move into the larger alley that runs all the way and continues off into the yard section there at the yard lead. All this will be bushes, just like what's back there, so I'll be able to lay all that in, but that'll all come later. So we got a lot more work to do, but I've made some significant progress this week, finally getting everything put together. And another thing I recommend you do is solder your joiners in certain areas where you don't want expansion and contraction from temperature change. Granted, we will be able to control that properly now that we got the AC ready to go out here, the AC/heater. But there are still some sections where I don't really want the track to be expanding. So what I've done is I've soldered joints here and there to really properly secure this track so that there's no risk of the rails expanding and contracting. That's going to be something that I'm really going to have to start going back and doing to areas that I repair. And we're still getting to this. I'm going to have to repair this entire section of track here and re-level things out, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare. I'm going to have to redo these curves yet again because they're terrible. All kinked up because they weren't properly laid in, so I'm going to have to tear the ballast out and then redo these and blend everything in and expand the rails out, and then I'm going to solder them so that it completely eliminates this from happening ever again, because this is not something you want to keep fighting. Part of the reason this has happened was because this bench work warped severely and it actually popped the track up and then bent it out of shape. If that hadn't have happened, that probably wouldn't have happened in the corner there, but this is just going to be something else we're going to have to correct. But this is the annoying part of this. We've built everything and then we're slowly having to fix the problems or the mistakes that we've made in the past one at a time, but that's just part of it. You know, like we have all these areas now where at one time this was all level and now it's completely off level and we're having to go back and fix everything. And so, like I said, that's just part of it, but it's important to not lose patience. And I haven't in this case because I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor here. I'm really seeing what's going to be able to be done, especially now that I've actually ran some trains through this whole area. It's been so much fun watching other people have so much fun out here too, running trains. It encourages me to continue to work on this. It's been fun too, and it's also fun filming this because I can go back and actually watch myself doing all this. I watched some of the videos of me starting this section. I'm thinking, oh my god, where do I even know where to start? Or even the old videos when I started on this section. I have to go back and remind myself where I started with all this. We've made significant progress. So looking at this little section here, that's nothing compared to everything that we had to do with all this. So I have to remind myself that. And at this point, it's all fun and games from here, other than having to fix certain things, because I know how to do things properly now. And I'm having fun learning scenery techniques, blending ballast and scenery together. Doing all these really cool techniques has been so exciting. So I'm getting to enjoy the fun parts of the hobby now, building this layout. So, like I said, we'll keep continuing to work on this. I am filming this in the process, so you guys will see all this come together, and we'll be able to finish this whole section, hopefully. So you guys can stay tuned for that. Anyways, that's going to pretty much wrap this update up, guys. I apologize that this was a little bit more rushed. I just kind of ran out of time, but I wanted to get something out there, like I said, for you guys, so you have some more things to chew on and digest a little bit. And also give you guys a little bit of a glimpse into things that are to come, because I do have a lot more videos coming here pretty soon. So like I said, you guys can stay tuned for more. Subscribe here on YouTube, by the way, so you don't forget or miss anything, because a lot of times trying to just check back on the channel, you know, sometimes you'll miss videos. I also recommend that you hit the notifications bell, because YouTube has a horrible means of not actually updating you when new videos come out, and you have to constantly check your feed. I have that happen all the time, so I've had to go back and hit the notification on guys I'm subscribed to. So I recommend you hit that bell, hit the subscribe button, and that way you guys can stay up to date with everything as I post, because I do have a lot of material coming. And I want to thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.